All right, we're back. Welcome to Tip of the Hershberg. If you notice, I'm wearing headphones now. Everyone always told me to wear headphones, and I was like, fuck it, I don't need them. Joe Rogan doesn't wear them, and he's my hero. He's not my hero, but you know, I watch some clips, and my face is coming out of the mic like a fucking half-a-tard half the time. You can barely fucking hear me, so you know I'm wearing headphones now. So I'll learn how to do a podcast eventually.
It's nicer, right?
Yeah, it's nicer, but now I can hear you. Now that's the problem, you know. Now I hear you going in. That's not, you know. But we're here today with a good friend of mine, a neighbor. Mm-hmm. I said good friend first and then neighbor.
The order so far is great.
That is correct, the order. It would be weird if I was like neighbor, a neighbor, an acquaintance, the guy who checks my mail, and a good friend.
Yeah. I'm a little upset the comedian hasn't made the list yet, but
comedian. He does comedy. This is my friend, which is, I wanted you on today. This is the topic we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because this is Steve Rogers, hilarious comic, opener for Brian Regan.
Yes.
You're literally the opener for the funniest person on the planet.
That's right.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And yet, you would look at your career as somewhat, at times, unlucky and stuff, correct?
I would look at it most of the time as unlucky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, when we came in here, you introduced yourself to Fonz, and right away, Fonz was like, I know you.
Yes.
You're Caitlyn Palufo's girlfriend. He said girlfriend. That's how bad it was. That's how emasculating.
Yeah. You're her dame.
Yeah. But so I wanted you in here, I mean, not just because someone canceled last minute, but also... I wanted you in here because someone like really canceled you. Like I explained it like in a very sincere. The reason I want to talk to you today is someone more important canceled last minute.
Yeah.
And I was in a desperate situation.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know who would answer me back immediately?
You know who would probably be sitting around praying for their phone to make a noise?
Yeah. So I asked 4 of those people, and then and then I got to you, and boy, I think, I mean, let me tell you
before you finish typing.
Yes, book straight white comics, because they are on the bench, ready to go. I just started texting, and I just heard short, just like you said.
Yeah, I was at your door.
Yeah, straight white male comics. They are fucking ready to go. I asked 12 women and a couple black dudes, and none of them responded. But you know, so it's good. It's good to have you here, and we were.
I'm honored to be here.
I want to talk like, you know, you have, you know, you in many ways, you know. You are an extension of a lot of my own insecurities. You know what I mean? Or
sure.
You're an intense version of all my faults. No, but I think it's interesting because I look at my career, and sometimes I think we all do, you know, Fonz, whatever you do for a living. I think we all... This
is the report every time, right? All right.
I barely even know this guy.
I think we all, you know, look, you know, we focus on the unlucky and not the good parts. You know what I mean?
Gratefulness is so important.
We are so evolved to not feel it at all times.
Yes, it's an actual instinct.
Yes, you can't be grateful. If you back in evolution, if you're grateful, you fucking got eaten by a saber-toothed tiger immediately. You're like, I'm really grateful for it, and now the tribe left, and I'm going to starve and die. Like, if you were grateful, you just died.
Yeah, grateful people back then never even got to finish their sentence.
No.
Like, wow, what a beautiful...
Boom, someone kills you with a skull and takes your food because they are not grateful and they wanted what you want.
Yes.
So it is like this evolution. You have to like go against every evolutionary instinct, but which is important because nature doesn't want you fucking happy.
No.
Nature just wants you to procreate, and they don't give a fuck.
I'm one with nature.
Yeah. You don't want to be one with nature. It's bad. Nature wants you to fucking procreate and die. They don't care. They don't care about happiness. So like gratitude, you have to almost go against your evolutionarily designed instinct. And you are someone who like, and don't get me wrong, I do think, you know, you don't have a great career, but I'm joking. I do think.
Right now, you're an extension of my insecurities.
I want to make it clear. I do think you're very unlucky. No, but it is interesting. I actually don't, and I do. It's like, when just to let you know about this guy. I mean, hilarious comic, works very hard, very funny.
Thank you.
But like, I mean, you like right away, and if anything, you got kind of some amazing stuff right away.
Yes, I did.
So that's an interesting thing to like. We all get good stuff, but if you get it right away, everyone, and it's not just you, but everyone's. This is, I feel like it's an intervention or something. But
it's nice to hear someone else saying these things.
Everyone's career at a certain point everyone feels like their career is stalling. You know what I mean?
100%.
I've had a couple good things in the last couple of years, but my career had never gone anywhere for like 15 years.
And I knew you before all these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so it's like, I mean, my career's not great, you know what I mean? But like,
But there's an example right there. You're saying where I disagree.
Exactly. So you have these, and I always say to people, you always know the answer for other people. And the answer is always what like, it's easy to feel fine when your career's going well.
Yeah.
The key to life is how do you feel good when you're in those plateaus, in those stalling parts, in those parts where essentially on some psychological level, you don't feel like you're getting attention or love that you wanted as a child, that you didn't get as much.
Yeah.
How do you contend? Because you will have ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want to just be emotionally dependent on the vicissitudes of like the situation. You want to be happy when things aren't going great, or be content,
radical acceptance is a game changer as far as like what can you control. Like if you're in the pursuit of speaking comedy, if I'm in the pursuit of getting things like the Tonight Show, something that you can't decide if you get it or not, where someone else makes the decision, that leads to depression. But if I pursue just making a really good album,
right,
that is within my power, in my control, and I can see the progression of that. You know what I mean? There's
right, the things that you aren't. Yeah, which I always say with people's career: don't wait, do shit yourself.
Yes,
because sometimes I feel like I'm doing okay, but it's only because of shit I did myself.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, like, if I didn't do those things myself, I would have felt like nothing was going on.
Exactly.
So it's like, I think you should never. Yeah, I think you should always just. Well, that's a good thing. Either the industry or whatever will point on you and distract you from your own goals.
Yeah.
And then you're fucking writing some bullshit late night set.
Yes.
Or you do your own thing, which is actually even better.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In some ways, because you do have the control. But it's tough because you had a lot of great things. So if people don't know,
they don't know.
A couple, they don't know. A couple, how many years in?
I was 4.5. No, I was 5 years in when I did my first late night.
Right, and one of the ways you used to do comedy at this place, that you're a comedy nerd.
Yes.
You love comedy. You love the old late nights. You're like, like Drew Carey and shit like that.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Drew Carey's great, but like you're really into the 80s kind of like late night.
Yeah. The Carson, early Letterman.
I've never seen a late night show in my life. Like
baby.
Yeah, I fucking, no.
I watched, I have a playlist in my computer of my favorite late nights.
I mean, I do love late night sets. I've seen a lot of great late night sets.
Oh, well, that's all I really
You're
watch.
Not like watch it. Okay.
I'm not watching the segments as much or anything.
Yeah. You're not watching like Johnny Carson talk to Carol Burnett.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've watched some of them, but you're like a student, and then there was this place that felt like it was built for you. This fucking
the National Comedy Center.
National Comedy Center, which is this museum of comedy in a place where I don't think they've even heard of stand-up.
No.
Jamestown,
New York.
Yeah. And it's and you performed there, and was it the first time you performed there?
First time I performed at the festival.
This is the luckiest place. Like everyone has like a place. I mean, it's not just luck, you have skill, but luck is for everything. This is the luckiest place. It's the first time you ever performed at this festival. Was it the Gilda Radner or Lucy?
No, Lucy Fest.
Lucy Fest. Some fucking women. No, I'm joking. Some fucking dead broad. You know what I mean? And you performed there, and the booker for Colbert.
So that's the second time.
Oh, the first time you performed there, Brian Regan, I'm sure you know Brian Regan, the best. I mean, I don't know if you can say, debatable, I guess, best.
Yeah.
But definitely the funniest, which one could say should be the qualifications of the best.
Yes.
But in terms of like just pure unmitigated joy,
most consistent.
Yeah, he is pure joy, pure laughs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just incredible. And he saw you, right?
He was in the audience, and I knew he was coming before I went on stage, and I was hoping, and this is not a bit, I was hoping he showed up after I was done. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to find out if...
I didn't think it was a bit. It wasn't that funny. I was like, whoa. That's clearly a joke that you're running by me.
But, that's very good point.
I was hoping he wasn't there. Now, I know that seems like a hilariously structured bit. I've just slipped into the conversation, but trust me.
I should start saying this isn't a bit before my sex. I
remember that one time we were walking and I was saying stuff and you're laughing. You're like, man, you're really thinking bits. And
yes.
I was like, I think that's just being funny.
Good point.
But anyway, I just thought that and I'm saying it now. But
yeah, he was in the audience, came in right before I went on stage. And then after I got off stage, he came over to me and said, nice job. And that was very funny. And a month later, his manager reached out to me.
And yet he just gave you a nice job, huh?
Oh, you said really good stuff or whatever.
Okay,
I was freaking out that he came over to me.
Maybe not, because if like a hero said nice job, I'd kill myself. I feel like nice job.
Nice job. I'm being humble.
Okay, he said you were the best.
I don't know why I'm being humble. I don't have a lot to brag about. So he did. He came over. He said, great set. He shook my hand. And then he came back later that night after the show was over and said it again.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. Why are you fucking hiding it from me?
I don't know. I'm really great at comedy.
Some people exaggerate. Some people exaggerate the truth. You know what I mean? And you're like,
I turn it down.
Yeah. I mean, he said great job. Yeah.
He did.
He didn't say nice job.
And he said
nice job.
Yes, I agree.
Nice job means you didn't do a nice job.
That's true.
You know, I mean, nice job is like, the worst thing you can be called you are called this, but
yes,
is nice.
Nice guy.
I call you funny. I don't think you're that nice. I think you're kind of fake, honestly.
I'll never tell. But
part of my podcast is just mean therapy.
I like it. I would love a show where people bring on people that are like, you know what, you're not as nice as you say.
Well, just mean therapy where I'm trying to get you to be emotional, but then I sting you when you do.
You're gonna get it out of me by the end.
So all right, so he said great job, and then a month later,
his manager called me, and then I opened for him in a college in Washington State.
Incredible.
Yeah, and really fun moment. We stayed in Seattle, but the gig was an hour away. Mm-hmm. And, this is where it's just like, is this a movie? We took a limo to the gig, an hour ride in a limo, and then an hour ride back in a limo with pizzas in the...
Wow.
I was like, is this blank check?
I know, I was about to say, it feels like blank check.
It was so amazing.
So it's funny that you, even in a movie thing, see yourself as a child.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah.
And I did too. I was going to be like, is this Home Alone 2? Is this Malcolm in the Middle?
Home Alone 2 is what I was trying to think of. Yes, not blank check.
So so you do, yeah. So yeah,
I do that
because there are movies where adults have dreams come true.
Yeah, but their dreams are so boring. The only movie where I see myself as the adult is Big.
Do you think Brian liked you because he thought you were 12 and he was like, this kid is incredible, and then when he found out you're like 48,
he was so upset. He had a propeller hat to give me. He's like, I'm gonna pay you in giant lollipops. Is that okay?
So wow, a limo with your hero,
amazing.
That's incredible.
Ride.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, I came back to Lucy Fest, and that's when the Colbert Booker saw me.
So 2 years later, same stage.
Yeah.
Colbert Booker sees you, and you're on the Colbert.
Yeah.
And that's great. So you have two of these great things happen, you know, and it's pretty great. And it's, hope is is what makes you the most depressed, right? You know
yes.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Like Obama's like a hope.
Yeah.
But what he doesn't say is that's it should follow that.
It's bad for
it's
you.
really bad for you. It should be hope is literally the source of all your depression.
Yes.
But you had a crazy and this is where so many things right now. It's like Lucky. You're about 5 years in.
So I think
5 years in, I was
3.5 when Brian saw me.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
3.5 years, I was drunk.
Yeah.
Doing drugs, living in my parents' place, just doing open mics, calling old women in the audience cunts, just like it was like just fucking like.
Well, that's what Brian liked about me.
It's just like me and you 3.5 years in are so different.
I was very child wonder like. I'm doing my favorite thing in the world.
3.5 years in, I believe I got my first call for my first paid gig for $50.
Oh yeah,
and like out of town somewhere.
Yeah, well that
3.5 years in, you're opening for the best comedian.
Well, that fest was probably the most money I ever made at the time, and then
you open for Ryan. 3.5 years in.
Yeah,
I mean, you're fucking. He's very generous.
He's super generous. I'll never say. He's the most generous guy ever.
But he is very generous, and that's 3.5 years in, and that's crazy to me. Like when I think about that,
I forget how crazy it is.
Because sometimes I move to New York and I'm with all these people who like really want to get ahead in their career, and I want to get ahead. And I think we're in the same boat. And I'm like, no. I've been doing it like. My dreams are gone. I'm like old. Like I'm still like I'm like Ronnie Dangerfield. I'm like trying to like, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, you're 2 years in and wanting to rush shit. I'm like, but that's the thing. That's why I didn't move to New York soon enough, because I didn't have the that impatience, which maybe is good. But so I do remind myself, like me and you 3.5 years in. Yeah. Is like very different, you know?
Yeah. Well, I opened for him for about a year and then moved here.
Yeah.
And then.
So the Colbert thing. This is an interesting
Colbert happened.
So talk about the Colbert thing, because the Colbert thing is where
this is where the bad luck starts.
This is where the bad luck starts. Yeah.
Yes. So let me leave with super grateful that I got to do the show. But the booker saw me at the fest. And at the time, I was friends with Caitlyn Palufo, who is my main credit. And
and if you don't know, I mean, some of you all comedy fans, but getting late night is huge. It's so important. No one else cares, but it's so important to the person.
It's like our wedding.
Thing. Yeah. It's like our losing our virginity. It's the thing that you're like. It didn't really. When I was at college and I was a virgin, I was like, I just want to lose my virginity. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now you're like, you just want to do late night so you can say you've done late night. Yes. And I mean, it just becomes some kind of badge.
I picture it, all the time.
It's huge, especially for you. You came out of your mom's vagina, saying good to be here.
Yeah, and I was tugging on the cord. I had it wrapped around my hand like those open micers do.
That's great. That's why you should say tested out bits. Not the fucking.
This is not a bit.
This is not. I know you're going to accuse me of having a bit, but I was actually hoping he wouldn't see me do the comedy. Yeah. So this is not a bit, but do you know where the bathroom is?
It's not a bit, but I think I have to go to the hospital. So the booker sees me, takes me out for coffee the next morning, and it was such a cool moment because I knew the booker was in the audience, but I wasn't like, oh, let me run my late night set. I was like, well, I hope they think I'm funny. Right. And then while I was on stage, they had DM'd me on Twitter or something going, have you been on TV? So as soon as I got off stage, I had a message. Yeah. And
I'm sure she's great, but that is kind of right away, just kind of like a hope right away. You know what I mean? Have you been on TV? Yeah, this is your lucky day kind of thing, right?
Very show busy.
Yeah.
So then we went out for coffee the next day, and she was like, I think your stuff is great. Here's the jokes I was thinking.
She's like, nice job.
And she's like, we'll call you. And but she's like, these are the jokes I was thinking. I was like, actually, these are the same jokes I wanted to tell on TV one day.
Because you're fucking, the other thing about Steve, you're fucking cleaner than a nun's cunt.
Yes, that's how that's in my bio, actually.
And like, so you're fucking clean. So like, you don't have to adjust. For me, I have to like take out 12 N-words. And, like, a bunch of shit. But like, you can just fucking like, it's like ready.
That's my favorite album of yours, by the way, is 12 N-words. It's a Christmas album.
Maybe I should do one. You know how Pryor has that N-words crazy? Maybe I should do that kike's crazy.
You could. Do you say that word in your? No. You have it once.
First time I've ever said it in my life.
Really?
But anyway, so it's ready pretty much. It's the jokes you wanted to do.
Yes, and that's why one of the reasons I'm clean is I watched so much late night as a kid that I was like, why? That was just the cemented into my brain is no cursing. Right. All the stuff I watch.
Okay, so this is right, exactly.
So I'm not. I'll swear off stage, but
but not really. You're pretty true to yourself.
Yeah.
So it is. You feel like a child when you curse. It feels like
exactly.
It feels like you're gonna get in trouble.
I do. I feel uncomfortable every time I curse. Yeah.
But so just say that you left Buffalo or Syracuse or whatever.
Yeah, Syracuse,
and you're. I'm like indifferent, Mark Maron. man. You left fucking...
Everyone that I love that is not from my town has always said the surrounding towns to me. They're like, so what was it like growing up in Rochester? I'm like, I would love to tell you.
Well, it should just be New York City. This might insult 12 million people, but it should just be New York City, and then everything around should have one name.
I know your stance on my home.
So this is 5 years in.
Yeah, and then
3.5 years in, you're opening for Regan. You're making money. You're living off comedy.
I had quit my job.
Your job. 3.5 years in, I'm still like sucking dick in bathrooms for fucking heroin.
I remember.
5 years in, they're like, have you been on TV?
Yes.
And you're about to do Colbert, and you're like, this place is fucking lucky.
Yeah.
And then, and you're so excited.
I thought I was one of those guys that we all hate.
Yeah.
So I knew Caitlyn at the time. We were friendly, and she was talking to the booker. So we would go over our sets together and stuff, and that's how we started to like go out and stuff. And then leading up to the taping, I noticed Caitlyn was getting messages from the booker about certain things coming up to the taping, and I was not.
And you were scheduled for the taping.
And I was scheduled for the taping.
Yes.
And or at least I was told
that
I was. And
also to clarify, for Colbert, they filmed like 5 comics at once. And then they intersperse them later into episodes. Stephen Colbert hates comedians so much he doesn't want to even see them in his periphery.
He's not there.
He's not there. He's literally not there. He like on later shows he comes in and goes, "Give it up for
this is him. This is what he does for the late night. He sits in the chair and goes, Steven Rogers, and he turns.
Yeah.
And then he goes, hey, how about that? And then he turns again.
Yes.
That's all he does.
So the actual show, when you're recording the show, he's not there.
Not there.
He's not there. It's a showcase show. It's at the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Yeah.
And then they eventually, and it's crazy because you don't even know when it's going to be in.
You don't know when it's going to come
out. One woman taped it, our friend Leah, and it took...
She was on my taping.
She was on your taping. It took a year for it to air.
Yeah.
Imagine you do it, this amazing thing in your career, and then you just have to wait a year for it to air because they don't give a shit
every weekday wondering if it's going to air that night. Every weekday.
Well, that's interesting about comedy and late night. It's always the afterthought and the only funny thing on that show, typically, which is an interesting combination. But anyway.
So... going up to it, I was like, Caitlyn, I'm going to get bumped, and I know it.
Yeah.
And, wonderful woman.
You find out you're underage. You're not tall enough to come into that Sullivan Theater.
Yeah, exactly. Caitlyn goes, no, you're not. And I remember I broke down. This is all I've ever wanted.
It's all you ever wanted.
Anything I led to this moment.
And your only feeling that you were bumped is that you weren't getting notes.
I wasn't getting notes, and
she had told you that day.
People were getting messages and stuff. Yes. So the night before, I got a text, you're not on tomorrow.
And so you're still thinking you're on. You're hoping you're on. Mm-hmm. For how long?
Until the night. It was a full month of running the set.
And let me also, I feel like you might not realize how big of a deal this is. I mean, we're all in our own world, our own bubbles.
Yeah.
But when you do late night, you work so hard on your set beforehand. You have to make it such a part of muscle memory that you're running it. And running it, by the way, is awful because you can't be loose.
You're in rehearsal mode.
You're in rehearsal mode. You can't be loose. You can't be in the moment. You actually have to go, much like gratitude, you have to go against all your natural instincts as a comedian.
You can't be in the moment.
If you can't be in the moment. If a glass breaks, you have to ignore it like a fucking amateur.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's so hard to do late night.
Yeah.
It sucks because you just, and a lot of times you have to tape it to show it. So it's so much work. And here you are working for a month on it.
Yeah.
Thinking for a whole month.
Yeah.
Planning on doing it this day while working on it every night and just making sure you don't fuck up at all because you have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you fuck up, it's embarrassing because you're just like, if you stumble on something, it's fucking, you don't want to fuck up. You know what I mean?
My parents came from Syracuse.
Yeah.
I was standing next to my father about to go up to my last spot to run
the night before. Your parents come up from Syracuse.
Yeah.
Your mom has MS. It's quite a...
Yes, it's a trek.
It's quite a trek, yeah.
And I'm standing next to my father, and I get the text, you're not on tomorrow. And then I hear the host go, please welcome Steven Rogers.
Bet you were loose on that show.
I was.
You went up, you're like, fucking great to fucking be here. Fucking... Who's this fucking bitch in the audience?
Oh, man, isn't it good to be here? Nothing means anything.
What did you do for that moment? How did you feel? Let's take it back to there. Feel free to cry for the views.
It was rock bottom. at that moment,
for us, for our world, obviously, you know, starving.
There's way worse things that could have happened.
Yeah, children with AIDS,
and I would argue that mine was worse. But it was depressing, and I went on stage just hopeless.
And you felt so that you had that walk to the stage.
Yeah,
that's a crazy moment. So your parents are in town.
I'm standing next to my
and your father's like super encouraging.
Yeah,
it's probably not helping psychologically, but like overly encouraging. We'll get to that another our next session. But he's like, you know, so proud of you.
My parents couldn't be more supportive.
They couldn't be more supportive, and they come out that night. They're staying with you.
And I told them, hey, I might not be on the show, and they still came. Because I had that suspicion.
You had that suspicion.
And then the next day.
But hold on. So I just want to capture that feeling. So you're about to go on stage to run it pretty much one last time, right?
It was the last set.
And it's the forward motion of like you're expecting to do the thing and you're sick of the material.
Yeah.
You just want it to be over with, because it's not only that you're not going to do it, you don't know if you're going to do it again. Yeah. And it's still hanging. It's just double despair. Yeah. Well, you're also embarrassed because you've told people. You can't not tell people.
Yes, you have to.
Yeah. And even though, even though they probably aren't like, they don't, no one cares as much as you do. Right. But you feel this embarrassment. And when 100%. You're embarrassed, you think everyone else is embarrassed for you. Yeah. Even though they might not be, but it still feels that way. So you have this embarrassment. You have the fear of never doing it. Yeah. Going back. Because it's just that late night is a whole dance with certainty and uncertainty and like so many emails, so many, like everyone else on late night, every celebrity, it's a cruel hierarchy. Every other celebrity just goes out there.
They don't want to be there.
They don't want to be there. They throw a fucking eggplant at James Corden's face. They fucking they play like Twister with fucking
Celine Dion.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Fallon, Lena Dunham. Fucking play Pop Goes the Weasel or whatever the fuck, and Jimmy's drinking under the thing, and it's like it's so like it's all. I mean, most of it is just star fuckery. Late night, most of late night. I love to be on them. Happy to be on anytime.
Yeah, please have me again.
Late night is essentially, for the most part, and this is why I don't really like late night, except for the comics. It's celebrity. It's the worst kind of celebrity worship culture where like you take Julia Roberts and you play like volleyball with her on stage. Yeah, right? Or you take Julia Roberts and you just play Scrabble or whatever the fuck they do. It's literally saying to the audience, this person is such a god. Yes. It's fascinating that she's doing something banal. Yeah. Like it's the banality.
They're just like you.
They're just like you, which is what you only say when they're not just like you. Yeah. Because if they're just like you don't have a question. You don't need to see them do something to prove they're just like you. Yeah. So you're essentially late night. The setup is watch these gods pretend to do human activities that you mere pathetic mortals can relate to.
And they didn't run their volleyball set.
Yeah.
For 5 years of their life.
John Cena isn't practicing for a month throwing a grapefruit at James Corden's head. Like it's not like they're not. Yeah, it's done deal. It's like, I don't know. I did Corden. I'm like in the fucking, before going on, I've been running so much and I see the TV and they're just fucking throwing like fruit at each other. And I'm like, it's insane. The amount of work comedians do. This is why it's called We Don't Get Any Respect. That's why it's our mode. Because we don't. Yeah. We're the fucking person who does the most work on their shows and we get shuffled around so much. Yeah. And late night is this weird, it's this almost cruel thing where it's like, we have to grovel so much just to get in this world of other celebrities where we get to pretend to be one for a second. Yeah. It's so much to do with self-worth and ultimately but then so you worked all month and then you find out you're not going to do it. So they just don't give a shit about your feelings. Yes. They tell you the night before. Which is just insane. And so suddenly, and then you have to walk on stage.
And I go on stage and
you remember what you did?
I probably did the jokes.
You fucking bitch.
But I don't remember.
Did you do them all crying?
I know.
So good to be here. So I'm an anxious person. Yeah. People are like, you're not anxious, you're just I'm like, that's not helping.
It was yeah.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
It was the worst moment.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make.
No, I liked it. Yeah, it's good to make fun of the worst moment of my life. Yeah, and, it was horrible. And then got off stage and was just a sack of crap.
How'd the set do? Do you remember?
I don't even know if I got a laugh because I was so in my head of like, what the hell's going on?
You don't even notice what happened.
Yeah. You know those movies where the comedian or whatever goes on stage and, the stuff's happening, but they're just the ear ringing.
Yeah.
That's
Saving
what that
Private
was.
Ryan.
Yes, exactly. It was horrible.
That's what I have sometimes when I have sex, I like to get beat up a little.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have sex and the girl will I like to get punched.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'll punch me in the ear and suddenly it's the end of Saving Private Ryan. It's like, I'm like, earn this.
You like to get beat up a little in sex and we're talking about my late night?
Yeah. What do you
You like to get hit?
I talk about that. This is a clean episode. You're not allowed to. You're too young to hear
That's
this
fair.
stuff.
Yeah. I just want to know what sex is like. But,
so and then you go to the show.
I went to the show to support Caitlyn.
To support Caitlyn, who you were in a relationship with already?
We were just starting to date.
You were just starting to date.
Just started.
And this really cemented a struggle in your life till now because this is the origin story.
As long as you say it.
This is the origin story of Steve being seen as Caitlyn's boyfriend.
Yeah.
You're coming with her to the Colbert. She's doing it. So you had to support Caitlyn. It's so sweet. You're supporting Caitlyn, which really is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You're supporting Caitlyn while watching all these other people do the thing they all thought you were going to do.
Yep.
And it's all 5 of them, and you watch them do it, and you're, I'm sure the whole time you're like, I would have done this differently. I would have done so much better than this person.
There's only 2, I don't remember everyone on that taping, but Graham K was there and Caitlyn. And Graham and Caitlyn took time out of their moment to be like, I wish you were part of this.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And so how are you feeling through all that?
I felt like I was never going to get to do it and that no one respects me. And that moment when you go to high school and you have the lunch tray and you don't know where to sit. I felt like I was in a purgatory of never having a place to sit.
Now, you know how Seinfeld says when you're a comedian every year, it's like you're like a child. If you're like 10 years, every year is the same year of your development. So a comic who 3 years in has the maturity of a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
So was this the trauma of being a little child that you think defined how you view comedy? Because I know a lot of times you feel shunned or
I feel this every day.
Do you think you felt that way before? Do you think that was a big effect on it?
I didn't feel before because I go to this festival out of Syracuse, New York, and Brian Regan sees me and goes,
so you had all this great shit happen.
But I wasn't ever like
cocky.
I wasn't ever cocky because that's just my whole life I've been an insecure, uncomfortable person.
Right.
But this cranked it up.
This cranked it up. It is like when you're 3 because you would have been 5.
5 at the day I taped it.
Yeah, it's like 5 walking into your parents fucking. It's gonna fuck up your sex life. You know what I mean? So it's like, So this was like a little, a defining moment. You know?
Yes.
But then, and this goes back to the luck thing.
Yeah.
You did do it.
I did do it.
And this is where the weird thing with comedy is. It's like, it does suck, but on the other hand, there's this outer, and I'm not trying to not validate, but there's a part of you like, what the fuck are we complaining about? You know what I mean? We don't have a day job, but it's our world, and we have expectations, and everyone does, and it was awful. It was an awful thing, but in the end of the day, you still did it, and I think I remember at the time not having as much empathy because I hadn't done late night yet.
Yes.
And you were like so new.
Yes.
And I remember when you told me you weren't doing it, but you'd probably do it again. I remember thinking, well, he's going to do it eventually. What does it matter? Only once I started doing late night did I realize you can never really be certain you're going to do it again. So it's like that fear is still there. You know? I
think I got the late night, that set because I went to support Caitlyn.
Good moral.
I think when they saw the face of the guy, they sent me a message that I wasn't doing the show.
Yeah.
But when they had to face the guy that they said no to the night before his taping, I think that changed everything. When I still showed up.
Or is it possible, I don't know the answer, is it possible you're just very funny and they liked your set and they wanted to have it on?
Well, that's why I am who I am.
Because you are kind of like, you're a nice guy yourself right now.
Yeah.
You're like going like, no, the reason I got on is because I'm a nice guy.
That's fair, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear that they're not that nice.
No, yeah.
And I think it's pretty clear that they don't care.
They don't care if you're nice.
They don't care. I mean,
that's true.
It's just the way it is. They're not going like, oh, well, he showed up.
Yeah.
No, they put you on because you're funny.
That's fair.
And you were born to do late night.
Thank you.
And you should accept that.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, no, it's only you're doing it for. No one should ever talk shit about Steve because like you're already doing it.
Can that be the clip? Can we make that the clip, please?
You already doing it. Are we good?
You're good. Just keep backing up.
Yeah. Okay. You're always doing it. You're like you're literally like, I only got that because I'm a nice guy.
Right. That's true. I do nice guy myself.
But it is interesting to think because like this whole story is about them not really caring that much about
That's true.
you. But they still want your content on TV.
Yeah, I'm
that's
grateful.
Actually, if anything, it's proof that they just liked your stand-up.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? I think maybe they felt like they owed you a little. I mean, I'm not saying they're all like evil or anything.
No, they're not. But yeah.
Some of them are. But like...
well, I still want to keep doing them. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I think I'm super grateful I did it. You need that stamp.
Yeah, and you did it. You finally did it.
Yeah.
And then you felt good afterwards, right? I was there.
Yeah, you were there. And
I was there. I was sitting next to your mom. Remember, it was funny when you did it. I came in late and they didn't let me have my backpack in.
And they sent the backpack to my
They're
green
like,
room.
well, we can. I was like, I can't leave the backpack. They're like, we sent it to the green room. So you just got this mysterious backpack.
Yes.
That you had no idea what it meant. And you opened it and there was a joke notebook in there. And you're like, is this someone saying use these jokes? Like you knew it was me, right?
I knew it was you.
Like, did you think there'd be like $100 in there and like use this joke of mine? And I remember I was sitting in the close up and your mom was right next to me. I remember thinking that's insane that you'd be okay with your mom being that close.
I loved it.
Yeah, you're cool with that. I'm different. I'm like, when my mom's in the audience, I'm like, you're in a different building.
Well, I tell that joke about my mother in my set, and I got to tell it to her. I looked at her when I told it in the late night set.
This is like insane to me. So for you, like the art and the personal, it's all like connected.
Yes, I live and breathe stand-up, but more important to me, I'm very fortunate that my parents accepted that.
Yes.
And supported that. And I told them that night, and this, if I'm going to get emotional, it's here. That was our late night set.
Oh, wow.
And I got my mom in the front row, and my father was backstage with me in the green room because my mom's that parent. She likes to watch the other people laugh. She thinks that's so cool. Look at what he's doing.
Wow.
So I wanted her to be there for that. And my father is a comedy nerd. So I wanted him to be backstage in this moment. And my father, right before I got on stage, do you know this story?
I do know this story.
He grabbed my shoulder, and he said this before. You stink and you should try other things. No, he grabbed my shoulder and he said, I'm so proud of you. And I immediately started bawling.
Which is a problem because you're about to go on
stage. It's a big problem. And then they took him away so he could go to where he was going to watch from. And he told me the whole walk to where they were taking him, he was terrified he ruined my late night set.
Yeah. So that was kind of like when I did Fallon. I pissed myself a little before, remember?
That's right.
I went to the bathroom and I peed a little. It's a little different. But I went to my bathroom.
Well, you shook and
I was like worried it wasn't going to dry before I went on there. So were you crying? Like were you terrified you're going to go out there and be like, I can't do this. My father just said you're proud of me. And they're just like, good night.
It was the same crying I did when I ran it the 3 months before or whatever. But I think I'm not an athlete, but I was a swimmer for a long time. I was a competitive swimmer, and there's that moment of like you gotta do this race no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'm like that with stand up. It's like whatever feelings I'm having, they're gone, or they're not gone, but I'm doing this set no matter what I'm feeling. Right. And he said when he saw me walk out, he knew I was fine. And
because you weren't crying. That's how I knew you were fine.
Yeah. But there's that I was chasing this for my whole life. Yeah. And when they bumped me, I had this new feeling inside me that I still get sometimes of just get me up there and watch what happens.
Right.
This anger, this like whatever animalistic feeling. And when they at Colbert, at least, they have a guy with the headphones, whatever, with his hand on your back, and then when it's your turn to go, they lightly push you, like till time to walk out. And once that happened, I was like, let's do it, and that changed everything.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing, and especially the fact that you were the idea, we're so different. You were like, this is our late night. Your parents came twice.
Yeah.
When I got courted, my mom called me. She was like, congrats on getting James Gordon. and then she said, I'd come out, but if you get bumped, I don't want to just be there.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. It was everything.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, I'm jealous of that emotional bond you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, I mean, the same thing. I did the Late Late Show this year, and Caitlyn was able to be at that one. And same thing. As soon as I was done, she hugged me, and I lost it then too.
Oh yeah. I guess you shouldn't have.
I'm a big crier.
But it was a great set. I was there. I saw it. You didn't use any of my jokes in my notebook because we insulted. But it was a great set. You were born to be there. You know, you had your suit and you fucking get up there and you got, you know, you had your jokes. It was great. It was a theme.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a great set. And like, so in many ways it's like luck and, you know.
But yeah, the amount of bad luck is way outweighing my good. But
no, I think it's a cognitive distortion we all have.
Oh, that's fair.
I mean, I hate to be the guy to look at other people, but you have a career.
Yeah.
I think you make more money than me, which is annoying.
Yeah. No comment.
And you open for the funniest comic on the planet.
Very grateful.
So I get that you think it's more bad luck.
Yeah.
And I understand. I'm the same way, but
yeah,
it's a cognitive distortion, I think, on some level. But the key, of course, is how do you keep on wanting to move forward? You don't want to be so grateful or content that you don't move forward. But you also
that won't be an issue.
Yeah. But you also don't want to be so ambitious that you lose sight of everything. But like, I do think it's I mean, how many years in are you?
9.
9? Okay. 9 years in, I moved to New York and started at the open mics and went last every time because no one knew how to pronounce my name. And then I got up there and did 2 minutes and no one laughed. That was 9 years in.
So like, and when I have these talks, I feel better. But I'll tell you this, moving into the apartment that I live in,
it's tough.
But I will say I'm grateful for how tough that is.
Yeah.
Because I respect every single, we live in an apartment with all comedians. I'm grateful for every single one of those comedians because they're my favorites.
Yeah.
And you. And I had to get one in.
How do you think I feel? I'm like doing the third or fourth best in our apartment.
Oh, I disagree.
Well.
But I think we would all say that.
Yeah.
Except for Joe.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's almost like being with all my friends and they get to go out and play.
Yeah.
And I am not.
Yeah.
When we're home.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like there's that fire of you're a loser that
yes.
And
that's the you know, if you never leave your hometown, you're the best guy there.
Yep.
Once you start doing better in comedy, you become friends with people who are doing better than you.
Exactly.
And everyone, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Everyone, and that's the tough part. So like, and we got to wrap it up, but on the, you know, as you start doing better, the people from your hometown think you've just fucking made it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're not
That's why I like to go home as much as possible.
Exactly. But in your world, you're just one of, you know, so many people, there's so many people doing better than you. But that, I guess a positive sign is like you want to be with people doing better than you.
100%. It makes you constantly get up and go to work.
Right. But yeah, no, you've had a lucky career and unlucky. You've had both.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? You needed it because to me, the best comics are the ones who some of their dreams have failed.
Yep.
And if you would have just had it all good, you wouldn't be as funny.
I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
That'd be unbearable.
Yeah. So it's like you need that. Because the art of comedy is seeing someone on stage whose dreams have kind of died.
You need someone the audience can't relate to someone that hasn't been knocked around.
Right. Exactly. That's why, like, you know, young comics are the fucking worst. But
yeah, the children of rich people will never be fun to watch.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know, fucking.
And you heard it here.
Yeah, you heard it. Yeah. Yeah. So you know, but it'll all make you better.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Where can they find you?
You can find me probably at home waiting for someone to call. But no, I'm on. Please follow me on Instagram. I have the least followers in our building. It's Steven Rogers Comedy, and my YouTube special is called Before He Was Super. It's good. Please,
great special. Check it out.
Watch
on YouTube.
it. Subscribe, and StevenRogersComedy.com.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
And follow me at Raanan Comedy on Instagram, RaananHershberg.com. All my dates. I'm all over the fucking place. Come see me. Check me out. And thanks for watching.